Welcome to another brand new episode of Undisputed Nerds, where we like to talk about comic book movies, TV shows, the whole list. We're your boys. That's right, me and him. I'm Zane, the captain of anime, Taicho. And as always, I'm joined by the gentlemanly gamer. How are you,
Hello.
good sir?
Yeah, Radioland. Hello, everyone. Why the captain of anime on the Undisputed Nerds podcast? What's going on with you? You've got anime on the brain, Zane. Hey,
I've got so much anime, so much manga. It's just like
Yep.
Yeah.
That's what he does when he buys new anime, guys. It's very awkward in stores. Trust me, I've seen him do it. It's a new anime. Yes. Good.
Add it to the collection.
I'm glad you enjoy your anime manga. How are you, Squire? Are you all right?
Yeah, I'm good, thanks. Yeah. It's getting sweaty over here, isn't it?
Oh God, it's so hot.
Humid again. Yeah.
I hate it. For the fat boy that I am, it's too hot. I've had to crack out the shorts. It's not.
Have you?
Yeah, honestly, two pasty white chicken legs strolling down the street. You know, people having to wear sunglasses not from the sun but from the glare of my pasty white skin. That's what the problem is. Honestly, it's horrible, Zane. It's absolutely horrible.
Oh, no.
Yeah, I hate it. I've said it on the podcast before, but I hate this kind of oppressive heat that we have in the UK here, where it's like you can't get away from it. It gets into everything, gets in your bones. I really don't like it. I really don't like it. But yeah, what you been doing with your week? Have you been watching? Have you been reading? What's been going on?
Yeah, loads. I've caught up on Dark Crisis. You'll like the latest latest issue.
All right, yeah.
Yeah. They get Kyle Rayner. Whoa.
Oh, of course they do.
Yeah.
He's my boy. He's my boy.
He meets Far Sector in the latest issue, which is pretty
Kyle
cool.
Kyle Rayner to me is what Jon Stewart is to you. And for those of you who know the show, you'll understand exactly what I mean by that. And for those who don't, just listen to our backlog. It's fine. There's loads of them. But yeah, that's good. That's good.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. And what was the other thing I was going to mention? Chip Zdarsky's new Batman run, which is really cool. But what's quite odd is the Penguin's in hospital with mercury poisoning. All those years of eating fish. And they've drawn in like the Danny DeVito version as well.
Oh, brilliant. That is great. What hasn't been done? Well, we haven't given a Batman Rogues Gallery a food illness yet.
That lifestyle of living on just fish has caught up with him.
Oh God, he really should have cooked them. That's all I'm going to say. Eating them raw, it wasn't good for him, you know. Down in that little circus cave sewer thing that he was in Batman Returns, he shouldn't have eaten those raw fish. I went old school this week, Zane. I went back, and I after being inspired by the boys, I read Hero Gasm.
Did you?
Yeah. That's something my eyes will never unsee. It wasn't as bad as again, much like the TV show, which we'll talk about at some point coming up in the next couple of weeks because it's the finale today, isn't it? Maybe we'll talk about it next week. But yeah, it wasn't as shocking as I was expecting it to be. Maybe I'm just completely jaded, but it wasn't as shocking as I thought it would be. It was good. It was very good. There's so many differences between the TV show and the comics that I keep forgetting. Like Madeline Stillwell in the TV show is a Agent Stillwell in it's a guy in the comic books.
Yeah.
And it confuses the hell out of me where I'm just like, wait, what, Stillwell? What? That's okay. But yeah, no, it's really good. I mean, it's, you know, Ennis is a genius, isn't he? It's just like he's king of disgustingness. So it's just so good. It's so good. I don't know whether I think I still like Punisher Max more than I like the boys. Controversial, I know, but yeah, it's still a classic. And then I can't remember what else I've been. I haven't seen the latest Miss Marvel, but I've heard. Have you seen the thing about Miss Marvel being photo bombed, review bombed?
Wouldn't surprise me, but no, I hadn't really read or seen anything about it.
it's really stupid. Stop doing it, people out there. If you are doing it, stop doing it, because it's like Miss Marvel's really good. I really enjoyed Miss Marvel. Again, we'll talk about that, I'm sure, coming up. But like, yeah, I really like Miss Marvel. I thought it's been a really good show. So anyway, but we're not here to talk about that or Miss Marvel, are we? What are we here to talk about this week?
We are not. This week we are going to give our thoughts, our reactions to Thor: Love and Thunder. I went really Love and Thunder. Yes, we will be giving our
Thunder. Thunder. You know that song?
Oh yes.
Everyone in the car now just go, shut up.
Isn't that the opening to Iron Man 2 as well? No.
I think so.
2?
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Iron Man 2. No, 2, yes. It's like, as a rare insight into Zane hearing the voices in his head again, guys. There you go. 2.
They all sound like Robbie Downey Jr.
Every week you call him Robbie. Every single week. What is this? You do not call it Robert Williams, who sung Angels. You call him Robbie Williams. Just like you don't call him Robbie Downey Jr. It's Robert Downey Jr. Every week, guys. Every week. Right, anyway. We'll talk about Thor: Love and Thunder. But before we do that, we have regularly recurring segment. And this week,
absolutely,
what is it, Zane? What is it?
So we have tips and bits, which you can find on Undisputed Nerds Strikes Again on YouTube. But before tips and bits, we have the perfect segue into the Rage Against the Cage. Oh, yeah, that's my cue.
You gave yourself... He gave himself the cue, listeners, and then I missed his own cue.
And then missed it. Here we go.
I'm a vampire! 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 I'm a vampire!
Oh, poor Nick. I think he might have gone... I think he might have turned into a vampire. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, this is what's all the rage with Nicolas Cage. Zane says it wrong every week, but I'd never correct him because, I'm a monster inside. This is where we take a deep dive look into the weird and wacky life of Nicolas Cage, one of our favourite actors of all time. And he just keeps on giving because the weird stuff that he does with his life, my goodness, it's an inspiration for us all. So for those of you who don't know what happens, I take one of the weird and wacky things that's happened in Nick Cage's life. I read out the headline to Zane, get his reaction, and then we delve into the article. So, Zane, are you ready for this?
I'm ready.
Are you sure you're ready for this?
Go on, hit me with it.
Nicolas Cage once went on a quest for the Holy Grail.
No way.
I'll read the full thing.
When
Cage
did you do this?
It doesn't say in the article, but I'm assuming it's the Washington Post, so it's quite a reputable source. I'm not sure when this article was published, actually. Let me see when the article was published. It was 2019 this was published. So, yeah. So, Cage went on a self-proclaimed Grail quest, likening it to a national treasure-like adventure. A direct quote from the actor was, "You read a book, and in it there's a reference to another book, and then you buy that book, and then you attach the references," Cage said. He even went to the Chalice Well in Glastonbury, England, and Rhode Island to search for the Holy Grail. The outcome of the quest depends on how you interpret Cage's ultimate realization, which was, one is the Grail, but the Earth itself. Thoughts on Nicolas Cage clearly wanting the role in Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade, not getting it, and then recreating the film himself?
Absolutely. Wild. It's almost like a story you would expect to hear on like the Joe Rogan podcast. Like, can you imagine Nick Cage going on this like world trailing adventure to try and find the Holy Grail?
The man spent money on a dinosaur skull. I can totally imagine him wasting money traveling around the world. Of course he can. Yes. Oh, I wonder if he did find... Maybe that's why he looks so eternally youthful. and not cosmetic surgery. Maybe that's why it is, allegedly. Maybe that's why. But there you go, folks. If you have any weird and wacky Nicolas Cage stories that you would like us to read about on air or read out on air, then give us a shout. And if you've seen him running through the streets of England with a chalice in his hand, proclaiming he's found the Holy Grail, also yelling out, "I'm a vampire," then you know what's happened. But there you go. There will be some more What's All the Rage with Nicolas Cage next week. So, Zany baby, is this a good time to hear some messages from our good old sponsors of the show?
Absolutely, yes. A word from our sponsors.
Zane, did you know that I love to surf?
No, I didn't.
I know, it's amazing. You'd never believe it looking at me, but I am an avid surfer. Not of the sea, though. Oh, no. I am a surfer of the World Wide Web, my friend. And let me tell you something. When I go surfing, I definitely need some protection. Not the usual kind of wetsuit, though. I need some VPN. Do you know what VPN means, Zane?
I don't. What's a VPN?
Well, it would be a virtual private network. And let me tell you, we here at Undisputed Nerds are being sponsored this week. And a big thank you to the episode sponsor, Surfshark VPN. You can get Surfshark VPN 83% off and 3 months free, Zane, if you go to surfshark.deals/undisputed-nerds and enter in the promo code Undisputed Nerds. Surfshark VPN lets you trick your device into thinking it's in another country, which opens up a whole world of content library, Zane. So think about it this way. If you're in the UK, you can watch US Netflix, which has a far bigger selection of movies. You can get all of your Batfleck content that I know you love, Zane. I know you're looking for. If you're outside of the UK as well, you can watch amazing apps like BBC iPlayer. And if you're in the US, you can finally get access back to the old WWE Network with its far superior functionality. We've been using, me and Zane have been using Surfshark here at Undisputed Nerds for a while. It is our official VPN, and it doesn't just let us gain access to all the comic book movies, but it also secures our networks by encrypting internet traffic, keeping our location and download history private. Thankfully, so that people can't see me purchasing wetsuits. My favorite feature on the Surfshark, it knows when my phone leaves a trusted connection, like my home or work internet, and it immediately turns on to prevent interference. It's like having, I don't know, Batfleck's Justice League for your phone, Zane.
I know exactly what you mean.
And I know you've got a lot of Batfleck on your phone right now. So sign up to Surfshark today by using our link in the video description below, surfshark.deals/undisputed-nerds, where you'll get, again, 83% off and your first 3 months free if you use the code undisputed-nerds. We really appreciate if you just at least check them out, as they're a great company and we love working with them. Support Undisputed Nerds and support your internet privacy with Surfshark. Oh, they're such good guys, aren't they? Those guys who did the advert, they're great.
I love
them. Honestly, they spent all week doing that as well. Crazy, isn't it? Moving on to the next big thing. So,
yes.
What came out this week, Zane?
This week we had the opportunity, the chance to see Thor: Love and Thunder, a movie. Starring Chris Hemsworth. Yeah. This is the fourth Thor movie?
It is the fourth Thor movie. Try saying that fast.
Yeah, I know. 10 years later.
It's Thor Love and Thunder. Yeah, 10 years later. Wow, that's... man, time flies when you've got incredible pecs and abs.
Absolutely. How do you want to do this? Do you want to give your rating and then...
Well, I'll just tell you this right now whilst we're talking about stuff. So apparently, this movie came out for us last night. It's Friday as of recording this. And Deadline is reporting apparently that Thor Love and Thunder has earned an impressive $29 million from Thursday evening screening. This is the second best debut of any 2020 movie, just behind Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, which had an opening of 36 million. Although it has been tracking behind that movie for a while now. So, that's really good. Like that's very, very good. You know, it's a great result considering when you think about it. Preview numbers, it's only behind Doctor Strange, Avengers Endgame, Spider-Man No Way Home, and Avengers Infinity War.
Oh wow!
Yeah, so it's like the fourth highest opening, like in a preview screening. So analysts are unsure what sort of opening weekend the God of Thunder's latest sort of adventure will have, though projections from the start of the week pointed towards 140 to 160 million. The only thing that's changed since then is that the reviews have not been kind to this film, have they? It only has a 68% on Rotten Tomatoes as we currently write this, whereas Ragnarok has 93%.
Yeah, we follow Internet Movie Database, and we've noticed like its scores dropped in like the last 48 hours. I think it was something like a 7.4 maybe, and it's dropped down to like a 7.2.
Yeah, we saw this together, and I think it's going to be quite different. The verdicts on this one. So what we'll do is, should we do the we'll do the cold intro, shall we, with the countdown as to whether we think it was disputed or undisputed, and then we'll go into characters, visuals, action, that kind of thing.
Yeah, cool.
All right, so ready, and we'll do 1, 2, 3, and then go on 3.
Okay.
Wait, 1, 2, 3, and then go.
Okay.
Sorry. All right, ready?
Yes.
Ready?
Yeah.
All right. 1, 2, 3. Undisputed. Oh, you went undisputed as well. I did not expect you to go undisputed. I thought for sure you would go disputed.
It was very. We'll get into it.
Okay, cool. All right. So yeah, okay. So Zane, do you want to run through with us just your brief overview of what the plot was?
The plot was this is a journey of self-discovery, I guess, to an extent, for Thor, coming off the backs of Endgame. This is a chance for Thor to reconnect who he is, because for centuries he's been seen as a warrior, and he failed against Thanos, of course, which led to his depression cycle and such. But this is Thor reinventing himself, reconnecting with himself, and I guess more importantly, the underlying story is love the time you spend with people when you have it, more importantly, which we'll probably get into towards the end of this, like about the message of it all. But it is a message about caring for people and, you know, making the most of the time that you have with those people.
Yes.
But in a very comedic
it was it was interesting. I mean, there was a dichotomy between Thor and Gorr, who was the bad guy in this. Because the main drive of the movie is that there is a character called Gorr who is the last of his kind, he has been a worshipper of his particular god, who I can't remember. It's a sun god, and I can't remember what the character's name is in the Marvel universe. Anyway, the character is an arse, and basically he does nothing to save his people, and so all the worshippers die. Gorr's the last one. Gorr prays to him every single day to save his daughter. The god does nothing, and then by chance he meets the sun god, or whoever it is that is, you know, the one he's worshipping. And the god basically turns around and says, "You're only made to serve. There's no grand reward at the end of this. You're just nothing to me," kind of thing. So it just so happens that the god has just successfully murdered the person who was wielding the necro sword. So the necro sword is this is where it got cool for me. Where I was nerding out. The Necrosword is a symbiote sword that was created by the symbiote god Null, and it is the one sword that is capable of killing gods. It was basically forged at the beginning of nothingness when Null ruled the universe. So Gorr basically bonds with the sword, and then proceeds to go on a butchering adventure by killing all the gods, doesn't he, Zane?
He does. A path of revenge.
Yes, and it's kind of a contrast to Thor, who's kind of lost everyone that he loves and is trying to find himself, as opposed to Gorr, who has lost everyone and is thirsting for revenge, and just basically believes that the gods are responsible for him losing everything, whereas Thor doesn't really know who he's supposed to be. So yeah, I really enjoyed this movie. I came out of the cinema kind of like feeling like I didn't enjoy it as much as Ragnarok. Ragnarok was much better, personally speaking. I think the thing I would say about this one is it was a little bit bloated. We'll get into some of this, but a little bit bloated with some cameos that I didn't think necessarily needed to be in there. And a little bit bloated with a little bit too much silliness. I think it didn't. Sometimes it didn't know what kind of movie it wanted to be. Whether it wanted to be just a flat out comedy or like this kind of like comedy drama kind of thing.
Yeah.
And I think it leant too hard one way and the other, and it became a bit jarring, juxtapositionally wise.
Yeah, definitely. Because I would say it was something like 70% comedy and 30% like serious, which is probably like the flip of Ragnarok. Like Ragnarok is funny, but that funniness is like maybe a strong 30%, and there is a straight through line that it has with Ragnarok.
Well, the funniness I think in Ragnarok comes from the wackiness of the planet that he lands on, because the Grandmaster's planet is all over the place, and that's where most of the laughs actually come from. You get all these crazy characters like Korg and Meek and stuff like that. They're all on, Skaro, because they've made Skaro into this wacky junkyard planet where it's like it's all wild, and the Grandmaster's got a spaceship that fires fireworks because it's his birthday. Like it's this wacky place, and it was like Thor was like the constant that we recognized through this insanity that was going on. This time around, Thor himself was the wackiness, and I don't. That is the one thing, as far as character development and things that we're talking about character wise, I didn't like the Thor in this movie. I will say this. I don't like where they've gone with Thor, because the whole first film was him learning how to be a king and learning, where his place is in terms of his role as Asgard's leader. And like, we still got some of that at the end of Ragnarok, because in spite of all of it, and he realized that Asgard was a people and not a place, even though Asgard was destroyed. And in this one, it just felt so like, what is this? Like, where are we going with this? Where is this? Like, it's got a nice little montage where he goes from, as Korg says, goes from dad bod to god bod. But like, and then I wanted to see. I sound like I'm down on this movie. I did enjoy it. I wanted to see more character progression with the Guardians. I really wanted to see more with that, because the thing that I got out of this was that they've just made Thor really stupid. Like, he's really thick, Yeah. And it seems like they've done it for laughs as well, where it's like he's got all this unbridled knowledge of the universe. Like, he knows where the shadow realm is from looking at a star. It's like he's not an idiot, but like they just make him so stupid. Do you know what I mean, Zane?
Yeah, absolutely. I was expecting the Guardians to be in this for like 10 minutes, and then they'd be like, "Bye, we're out."
Which they were, just for the record.
Which they were. It is a shame that we didn't get to see a lot of that, though, because I kind of like, again, from Infinity War, I really like his interactions with Rocket, and I thought maybe there's a chance we could see a bit of that, but no, they were in and out.
The one thing I do want to see from this, because the reason why they separate is because there's a load of distress signals going off about the gods dying across the universe, and that's what makes them separate and go and investigate. I would love to get a freeze frame on Disney Plus when this comes out of the other distress signals, because I think that's probably going to highlight what the Guardians are dealing with in Guardians of the Galaxy 3.
Yeah.
Which
yeah,
is going to be great. Which is going to be great. Like I just felt that the whole bit with the Guardians at the beginning and on the weird planet where they've lost their god and these weird like almost Wookiee like creatures are going crazy. Like I liked it, but it just felt kind of a bit like it was fun stupid. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like that whole bit was fun. Where he's doing the splits to like keep the things apart. It was like that was funny.
Van Damme, it's a Van Damme sort of Easter egg,
where he's
isn't
Van Dammed it. But and then the screaming goats that were introduced as a thank you at the end of it. So yeah, Thor in this one, he acquires a pair of screaming goats as a thank you for saving the planet that stay with him the entire way through and actually become part of his transportation later. I did say this. I'm not sure whether you were listening when I was saying it to Rinsler yesterday when we saw it with him. But do you know the reason why those goats were in the film?
Isn't it to do with Norse mythology? Because he rode goats. No.
Taika Waititi put it in the film because he knew that James Gunn was going to have to deal with cosmic events next, and he wanted the goats to play a part just so that he'd have to deal with something really stupid.
Of course.
So basically, it's a big heckle against James Gunn, is what that the twin
big
goats
old
are.
rib.
But yeah. Anyway, so kind of as far as Thor is concerned, I think there was some good character development towards the end of it, where he obviously learned about Jane's condition and then what's going on. We'll get onto Jane in a second because she plays a fairly prominent role in this. And you know, towards the end of the film, the thing about Thor that is kind of frustrating for me is that he never saves anyone.
Yeah, I guess
he technically saved his people and Valkyrie maybe, but like he didn't save Jane, he didn't save Loki, he didn't save Odin, Frigga, Heimdall, any of them. He didn't. They're all dead. Sif lost an arm. Do you know what I mean? Though, it just kind of, I just feel like Thor's not like they've painted Thor in this really weird, like he's a rubbish superhero who's like ridiculously powerful, but is ultimately a bit naff.
Yeah, you're right.
Naff means rubbish, by the way, or garbage. Sorry for our American listeners out there. My apologies.
Yeah, you're right. Because even when he does his speech about saving the children and such, it's played for laughs, but you're kind of at the back of your head, you're like, well, wait a minute, like, can Thor do this? Because so far he hasn't been able to do much on his own.
Hemsworth is amazing. Like he's brilliant, and he should be Thor until the wheels fall off. Like he's great. And I will say this as well: that feeling that I get when I see the casting of Chris Hemsworth as Thor and also Chris Pratt as Star-Lord and the Guardians and stuff, it gives me the warm fuzzies inside. I love seeing them on screen. Also, did you notice as well that Gamora was not with the Guardians?
No, because she ran away at the end of Endgame.
But she didn't, did she? She was with Nebula and stuff, and Nebula's still with them, and Gamora's not.
No,
did she run off?
Yeah, because she's I guess some terminology, she's a variant, a time variant.
She's a past version.
Yeah, so that's what the sort of big speculation that Volume 3 is like the hunt for Gamora.
Oh, I see. Okay. I didn't realize. I completely forgot that about Endgame. You only get up to the bit with the battle where Iron Man dies, and then you just turn it off after that, don't you? Really?
Yeah. That's all you care about.
That's it. So yeah. Anyway, I would like to see Thor get a bit more intelligence in the next encounter and be a bit more like he was in the first film. I think he, imbued with that wisdom and understanding of being a king. I would like to see that version of Thor a lot more. Because he's the one who has the vision of the Infinity Stones in Avengers and knows exactly what they are, and he's the key to. He creates Vision basically. If it wasn't for him, Vision wouldn't have been born. Because if he hadn't have had the Vision and come in and done the Vision, and had the Vision with the Vision, the Hammond
of the Vision.
Vision. So yeah, moving on. Let's talk about Jane for a little bit then.
Mm-hmm.
So Natalie Portman is back in this as Jane.
Yeah.
She's been gone for a long time. We haven't seen her since Thor: The Dark World. She's referenced very briefly in, I think, in Endgame. Obviously, she's in it like as a bit cameo, and then there was rumors persisting that she was apparently unhappy with Marvel and was never going to come back. Feige this week apparently said that it had nothing to do with that. It was apparently, she said, just let me know when something interesting happens with the character and I'll come back and do it. Apparently that was always the way. She was never properly annoyed. It was just she didn't creatively want to do it anymore, and she wanted something more fulfilling, which is fair enough. I'd say she probably got it with this role.
Yeah,
you know,
absolutely.
What are your thoughts on them adapting Mighty Thor for this movie, and female Thor effectively? It's got some pretty heavy strands going through it, but what did you think of it, Zane?
Yeah, I thought it was. I think it did the job. Like, we got to see full-powered Jane Foster. The chemo stuff, the cancer stuff is done quite eloquently in the sense of as it could be for a kid's movie, because you have to still remember this is a kid's movie, so their approach to that she's dealing with stage 4, and that she is still a superhero and such. It's very cool and it's great to see. Where it falls apart for me personally is and look, we've put spoilers all over this.
Oh,
so
yeah.
if you're watching this,
if you're watching this and you weren't expecting spoilers, good luck with that.
Yeah. I was really surprised that they killed her off at the end.
I was not surprised at that. I was not. I think it's weird. As soon as she turned up, I knew she was going to die, if that makes sense. Well, in the last battle. I think, because I remember it differently. It's been a while since I've read that particular Mighty Thor run, excuse me. And I think that, am I right in thinking that she's got cancer in the books, but actually wielding Mjolnir stops the cancer? I think her being Thor stops the cancer from spreading, and that's why she is Thor all the time, and nobody knows who she actually is until she finally puts the thing down, and then it's like, it's Jane, but she's got cancer. So they mixed it up quite a bit in this one, where it's like Mjolnir is actually progressing her cancer quite aggressively and killing her every time she uses it. But she wants to use Mjolnir to make a difference with her life, because she feels like she hasn't got anything left to give. Or, exactly. Yeah, she wants to fulfill things. I will say this: broken Mjolnir is way better than regular Mjolnir. Like the effects that they do in this film, because obviously last time we saw Mjolnir was in Ragnarok, and it gets like smashed into a million bits. Like, man, it looks so good when it fragments off and just like breaks through people. It looked amazing the way that they wielded it, and I do like the way that they explained why she could wield it. Why she was the one who was like the one who could lift it, was suddenly worthy when nobody else was, and they explain it as like when Thor and her are together. We get that's a really good part of this film that I really did enjoy. I think some of the critics and stuff, Taika Waititi's come out and said, I think people don't like this because I've made a version of Thor that people don't like, which is a Thor that is in love. And I kind of understand where he's coming from a little bit. Nobody cares. Everyone's the God of Thunder. Nobody cares about a love story. But the bit where they're actually living together as a normal couple, they do a lovely montage in this about where they're living together. It's really it's heartbreaking to see how they drifted apart over time. Yeah. But like during that whole sequence, he whispers to Mjolnir that you protect her, make sure that you look out for her forever, and his word bonds into the hammer. So basically, she can then lift it if she wants to and use it as Thor would. There is an interesting, whilst we're talking about relationships, there is an interesting relationship in this, isn't there, with Thor and his weapons?
Yeah. The love triangle between him and Stormbreaker.
And Mjolnir
Yeah, and
and Jane.
and Jane. It's a weird situation because it's almost like Stormbreaker is the sort of jealous girlfriend that
Yes, the jealous
he
current
wants.
girlfriend.
Yeah, that he wants to reconnect with his ex. But then I was speculating: is this the seed that would then grow into Beta Ray?
Oh yeah, it could be. Yeah, you're right. Wait, does Beta Ray use Stormbreaker?
Mm,
Oh yeah, possibly. Yeah, very possibly. In fact, I can see. Well, he does. He uses. Well, at the end of the film, he uses Mjolnir again instead of Stormbreaker
Yes,
because Stormbreaker is being used by
his
Love.
daughter.
Love. Oh, you've ruined it now. Spoilers everywhere. Yes, his adopted daughter. Yes. Well, whilst we're talking about that, then yes, Natalie Portman was excellent in this. I was sad to see her die, but I kind of expected it. We'll talk about the post-credit sequence though, because I don't know if she's done with this. That's what I was going to say to you. I don't know if she's done. So yeah, moving forward then. So Gorr. Let's talk about Gorr.
Yeah.
Christian Bale is the bad guy in this. So Gorr the God Butcher's powers, he basically has this necro sword, which makes him super powerful, like super powerful. It is a symbiote sword. And it is a symbiote sword, isn't it, Zane?
Yeah, it is.
You don't think it is?
It's it is in everything but name, isn't it?
Yes.
They're like, oh, it's a relic from the Shadow Realm. Like,
well, when he picks up the sword, you see black goo going into his veins.
Yes.
Oh,
you do.
there might be some noise on our side. Sorry, it's a Friday night, guys. I apologize if that picks up on my microphone. So yeah, you get like black goo going into his veins. His teeth change into that of a symbiote, like Venom.
Mm-hmm.
His eyes change.
Black arms like handing the sword quite a few occasions.
Yes, so they use the thing that it's shadows, but it's very clearly symbiote creatures that are being made. You know, there's a lovely bit later where he's walking into a room and like all the like tendril, like my favorite part of this film, hands down, my favorite section of this film is when they stylistically change the visuals of it. So this film's really bombastic and crazy, and it's as you would expect from Thor Ragnarok. It's wild and it's all like wow, you know, from like Sakaar. That's an authentic thing from the sound effects, by the way, and the visuals. It's pow wow. But they travel to the Shadow Realm, and like they take out all of the color tone out of this, and it becomes a black and white movie with hints of color when light sources are activated, like Mjolnir or Stormbreaker, and it looks amazing. It looked so good, like this stylistically black and white, like, you know, hyper real, like a color scheme. It looked amazing, Zane.
Yeah.
And when he's walking in, and you see all the like tentacles, like the symbiote tendrils on the wall and stuff like that, and I was just like, I mean, just call it symbiote, mate. It's done at this point, isn't it? And the fact it drained his life as well, like the symbiote, because that's what they do. You know, the longer they stay attached to you, the more they like take over and just basically drain you of life. I was like, this is great. Like, this is so great. They're introducing the symbiotes without telling anyone they're introducing the symbiotes. It's fantastic. But yeah, did you like Gorr as a baddie? Like, what were your thoughts on Christian Bale's portrayal as him?
So I like the backstory, and he has two great scenes, which is at the beginning and at the end. Like, all his scenes in between are very, very short and very small. And I feel like I said this to my wife. I feel like his acting was on a whole different caliber compared to like the rest of the movie. Like,
I agree.
Almost like it was for a different movie altogether. Like, his scenes almost felt like they could have been for like any other movie. except for a comedy about a thunder god. Do you know what I mean?
100%. I think they probably, it made sense because obviously Thor's a god, and he turns up in a Thor book. But like, this could have been a great villain for the Guardians, like, or like, you know, or for somebody else cosmically speaking. Like, I agree with you 100%. This is where the tonal shifts didn't work, because he was, you know, although it's interesting. I mean, Hela was kind of like this. Hela in Ragnarok was like a kind of like smart-arsey, you know, quick-witted, you know, kind of
Bond villain sort of
Bond villainy, exactly. Yeah, with like some cool-ass powers. Gorr was like properly like Shakespearean drama, like villain, like, you know, like intense tragedy and pathos. And I agree with you completely. That was where it tonally is where it struggled. That's really where it struggled. It's interesting. If this baddie had been in Thor: The Dark World, it would have been a whole different. I think we'd be talking about it in a whole different kettle of fish.
Absolutely,
you know, because I think Christian Bale did amazing in this role as well, and like really like it. Our friend Rinsler had a problem with him, and I'm sorry I'm using his name a lot, but we talked about this quite extensively because I met him today, and like we were saying that like he had a problem with character motivation, because at the beginning of the film, obviously he's the devoted father, and then he gets the Necrosword and he becomes this God Butcher, and then by the end of the film, when the Necrosword is destroyed, he then becomes more of a father again, and he said that he hates character motivations changing so much and being so flaky, and I disagreed with him. I disagreed with him extremely, because I said no. The whole point of this situation was the Necrosword is a symbiote, and it even whispers to him, you know, calls to him that to take him. And as soon as the Necrosword was gone, like, he's a good, decent father who just wanted to care for his child. And as soon as the Necrosword, which is created to kill gods, as soon as the Necrosword is gone, he reverts back to being a good, you know, faithful, you know, faith-wielding dad, you know. And it's like, no, he was being influenced by the Necrosword, which is what made him go on this. It fueled his rage and negative emotions, which is what the symbiotes do.
Absolutely.
So I thought it was, I liked the ending. I thought the ending was going to be, instead of him bringing back his daughter, he asks. So sorry guys, I'm not explaining myself very well. So the whole point of what Gorr's mission is that it's revealed that Stormbreaker is the key to open the center of the universe, at which there is a cosmic being known as Eternity, who is a being that, once discovered, the first person who finds it will grant any wish that it wants. So Gorr discovers it, and his plan is to, with the Necrosword, his plan is to make Eternity kill all the gods at once and wipe all of them out. But in the end, he doesn't. He asks for his daughter to be brought back to life, which is very sweet and very nice. And then Thor looks after the daughter at the end. That's what it's all about. It's basically Thor's now a dad, and the daughter is called Love, and Thor is called Thunder. But I thought he was going to have Jane Foster be saved and cured of her cancer. I thought that's what his wish would be, and then she'd still be in it. Yeah. So I was surprised when they did the switch, and it's like, oh, Thor's a dad now. Which is why, again, I'm quite surprised they made him so stupid. Do you know what I mean? It's like, he's not the best father figure, is he?
Yeah, and also that's kind of one of the things that, like, for me is just like a no-no in my eyes, just because it's kind of like, I don't want to see Thor the dad. Like, this is not what I signed up for. And that's me being a little bit selfish, but like,
this isn't Thor the dad world.
But it's especially like not too long before that, and again, I'm jumping all over the place. We got a scene where Thor bestows his powers onto a group of children, and I was like, this is not like Spy Kids. Like, I am checked out. Like, no thanks. I understand why they would do that. This whole movie is marketed towards kids, but for me, I was, and like a friend of mine who saw it at the same time as me was texting me, and he was like, "This is like the most amazing movie I've ever seen," and I was like,
Oh, okay.
"That's where half the movie falls apart for me." Like,
It wasn't the most amazing movie I'd ever seen. I think it was it was good. I enjoyed it. It's definitely not the worst Marvel movie at all. It's funny. It came out today. I can't remember which website reported it. It was on comicbookmovie.com, and I can't remember where they got the original article, but they said this is the fourth worst rated Marvel movie ever. And
wow.
do you know the movies that are underneath it? Thor: The Dark World.
Okay. Captain Marvel.
No, Captain Marvel got reviewed. Okay, thank you. What was it? It was Thor: The Dark World,
Ant-Man and the Wasp.
No, yes, Thor: The Dark World, Ant-Man and the Wasp, and the Eternals.
Oh, of course, the Eternals.
Yeah, the Eternals is the worst. The Eternals is like 40% on Rotten Tomatoes or something like that. It's terrible. But all the rest of them were like 60 and up. And I'm like, well, yeah, of course it's one of the worst rated Marvel movies, because on average, Marvel movies normally score in the 80s or 90s. So of course it's going to be one of the worst when it's like 75. I think it's just, the problem is that it's, as you said, it's the tonal shifts that don't really necessarily fit. Like the bombast, I'm surprised they spent so much time in New Asgard, which is now in like the Netherlands, which kind of meh, you know. They barely explored the city of Eternia, which is the city of the gods. So we have to touch on that very briefly, guys, to talk about the characters there. Zeus is finally introduced, the Greek god Zeus, among a plethora of other gods that are in there, which I won't go through right now, but there's a lot of them, including Hey Nonny Nonny, which is amazing, the Korg's god.
Yeah.
Russell Crowe, the greatest actor of his generation, Russell Crowe, is in this. He is Zeus. What are your thoughts on Russell Crowe's portrayal of Zeus, Zane?
Hilarious. It's Russell Crowe doing I want to say it's an Italian accent.
Yeah, I'm not sure if it's Greek
one.
Yes.
But yeah, he plays up to it. You know, he does a little dance. He spins his thunderbolts around
when he lifts his little skirt when he comes down the stairs. That was one of the funny. I was laughing so hard when he did that. But it's interesting because there is a Zeus, even though he is portrayed as this kind of, you know, nincompoop kind of thing in the thing, there is still elements of him where it's intelligent, where he comes right up to Thor and whispers, "Stop talking about this because it's going to spread panic," kind of thing amongst the gods and stuff. Like, he's still trying to be a leader of the gods, even though he comes across as this, you know, weird god who just wants an orgy.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
I liked that whole Eternia sequence. I wish had been longer. I wish they'd have spent much more time there, like in the same way that they explored Sakaar in Ragnarok.
Yeah.
I think that could have been the Sakaar equivalent this time. I really do. And I think if they'd have spent a lot more time there, I think Gorr should have actually gone there. Like, I think he should have gone to Eternia. I don't like the fact that, but again, it was the parallel of like Thor and Jane, where it's like Jane's dying from this cancer, Gorr's dying from the Necrosword, and like Thor's trying to save her and Gorr's trying to kill everyone. Like, it was it's this dichotomy between the two of them. But like, I wanted to see Gorr murdering more gods. Like, that's what I really wanted. I don't think we ever got enough of a threat from him. You know, like, you saw the aftermath of a fight where he'd taken out Sith and he killed like one of the nicest gods ever. Yeah. But do you know what I mean? Like, it would have been nice to see more of him, like, in action, kind of thing.
I think I saw on TikTok someone mentioned that from everything that's mentioned, he's probably only killed about 3 gods.
Well, I mean, it's 3 more than most other people, I will say.
Yeah. So yeah, you're right. I think they missed a trick. Also, one thing that kind of crossed my mind is there's a moment where Thor mentions, like, before they go to, I think it's called, is it Omnicity? Omnicity or something like that, which is where all the gods are.
What?
It's called like Omnicity, like the where all the gods come together to meet.
What? What are you talking about? All I heard you say then was omni titties. I'm like, what are you talking about?
Anyways,
I thought it was Eternia. Is that not where the gods meet? Is that not the city of Eternia was where they went?
no, it's called like something city. It's like Omni City or something.
It's not Omni City. Okay, let's have a look.
I think Eternia is He-Man.
Omnipotent City.
There you go.
Omnipotence. Omni titties. That's the best one you've ever done. Yeah, you know where all the gods are. Omni Titty City.
Yeah. You know where they have the orgy.
Yeah. Oh, I got it. They're all out at once.
So Thor mentions like they get to see Zeus, they'll get to see Ra, and I was like, I wonder if he'll mention like Khonshu or maybe an Eternal, because like Athena is supposed to be.
Well, you say
like
that we get a lot of Celestials.
Yeah.
A lot of Celestials, 2 still living ones as well that are in that city, which I was like, I thought they were all wiped out, but apparently not. No, they're they're alive and well. Yeah, and it's interesting as well that at the Gates of Eternia, Gates of Eternity. I'm doing it now. Sorry, the Gates of Eternity. there was also a celestial statue there as well.
Yes.
Aramesh or whatever his name is, or Arameth, or we're terrible with names. We're terrible at names. Rinsler took the mick out of us last week because we were talking about Stranger Things, and I called it Dawkins, and it's actually Hawkins, and you said he was Vector, and his name's Vecnar. It's like, God, honestly, jeez. I'm sorry to all our listeners out there. We suck when it comes to names sometimes, but hey, you can't fault us for Omni Titty City.
No.
You're never living that down. Ever.
I don't care. Put it on a t-shirt.
Just like my friend saying Ian McGregor, they have never lived that down. I've said it to them almost every day since. Yeah, they're not my friend anymore. I'm kidding. They are. Yeah, I mean that kind of like covers. I mean, basically, the end of this film is they save the day and they save the kids who have been kidnapped by Gorr as a trap, and Stormbreaker has been used to open the gates. I enjoyed the Stormbreaker like being love interest, kind of like jealous love interest, and seemingly sentient. Like they've made all the weapons now sentient, so Mjolnir and Stormbreaker have a mind. As you said, I wasn't super like the end of the film is like Thor and his now daughter. After it's Gorr's kid, basically is now her adopted. She's adopted by Thor, and so they go and fight monsters together. And she's seemingly super powered. She's got she's got hex vision, and Zane. She's got those crazy eyes. She can burn things with her crazy eyes.
Really bizarre with the kids' situation. It's bizarre because I don't know if you knew this, but it's Chris Hemsworth's real life daughter.
Yes,
and apparently, like, other cast members' kids were involved in the capture. So the school of kids that get captured from Asgard. So Christian Bale's kids were in there. Taika's daughter was in there.
So here's a question for you: I don't know whether this is true. Is Idris Elba's kid the Heimdall kid?
I don't know if it is his real life son playing.
Right. Okay.
Ajax.
That would be amazing.
Or Axel, sorry.
Axel, yeah, not Ajax. Ajax is Deadpool. Yeah, he's named after a washing powder. Axel. Yes.
Axel.
I can't remember what his name. Aramis, I think, is his name in the comics or something like that, isn't it?
Astra. I think it was Astra.
Astra, that's it. You're right. It is Astra. Not yeah. Your name is Astra. It's Axel. Anyway. Yeah,
that felt kind of shoehorned in though. Like
I think so too. Yeah. It's interesting. They're building up the Asgardians again slowly. Like Sith is now a main player. They did the Warrior 3 dirty, didn't they? Oh, they
Again.
did the Warrior 3. That annoyed me at the beginning of the film when, so they do a little flashback right at the beginning where Korg is reliving what has happened previously for Thor, and he talks about all the people who died, and he goes, that guy, and then that guy, and then that guy as well. I'm like, don't do the Warrior 3 like that. Like, that's just so... Honestly, one of them becomes the War Thor. What's wrong with you? Jesus Christ. That's
It's not on.
totally uncalled for. I did not like that at all, Zane. I did not like that at all. Yeah, I mean, I don't know what else there is to talk about. Thud and Lunder.
Just two things I want to cover, and before we go into like end credits and stuff.
Yes.
First one being, Valkyrie feels like she has like no character development in this. Like, it feels like her whole story was wrapped up in Ragnarok, and they've just kind of like, Valkyrie's back!
Tessa
Yay!
Thompson needed a paycheck. Yeah, exactly. I agree. I thought she was going to die in this. I thought she was going to die, and Jane was going to survive. When she gets... So, spoilers, as if we haven't given enough. When she gets stabbed, I was like, it's Valkyrie who's dying. Okay, cool. And then she lives.
They gave us two fake out deaths, because they did the same to Korg.
They kill Korg, and then it was weird. Like, it was really weird.
Yeah.
I don't know why they did that.
Yeah,
She should have died. I'd just kill her.
Yeah.
That's it. She's done. I don't know.
Yeah, it's a bizarre one. And then she's kind of like, I'm fine, but I can't fight.
Yeah. She was. I don't care about this enough. I'm not a god. I don't care. You go and do it. You know, I've got to hang out with Rita Ora and Taika Waititi because that's what I'm all about now. Yeah. What was the other thing that you wanted to mention? You said two things.
The fake out deaths.
Okay.
Which we've already touched on, so there we go.
Yeah, and now Korg seemingly fine again. Like, it was weird. he went down to a face, and then he's back up to his normal self. It's just kind of weird. It was. Look, this film's not great. Like, it's not it's not like an Endgame or a fantastic, like, I was going to say Fantastic Four. Like, it's not like a Fantastic Four. That's exactly what it's like. This is on the level of Fantastic Four: Rise of the Silver Surfer. That's exactly the level of where this film's at. Really, it's enjoyable, but it's not going to set the world on fire. That's exactly what this film is like. I'm
going to ask you this hot question. Would you say it's better or worse than Multiverse of Madness?
Worse.
I agreed.
Yeah. Oh, you agreed already before I even had the answer?
No, because again, a friend of mine messaged me and they were like, "Is this better or worse than Multiverse of Madness?"
No, it's worse than Multiverse of Madness. Multiverse of Madness was
it was an experience.
I really enjoyed Multiverse of Madness. I thought it was fantastic, and it subverted a lot of like genre that I wasn't expecting it to do. Like, watching it through the second time with my wife, I enjoyed it every bit as much as the first time. And I love that they made I love that they made Wanda the bad guy. I think it's fantastic, and I think it sets a good stage for if they want to go back and do things like Civil War 2, for example, or anything else where they can have heroes turn. I'm a big fan of like a couple of crazy characters who they haven't covered yet in Marvel, in the MCU. There's a guy called Penance, for example, who is he's a character who his original hero was Speedball, and then he's responsible for basically triggering the Civil War with his team because they blow up a school and kill a bunch of kids, which leads to the Superhero Registration Act in the books. This is, and then he regrets his actions so much that he becomes a villain called Penance, because his whole deal is kinetic energy, and he finds that he's got a guilt blocker because of what he did, and the only way he can activate his powers after that is by hurting himself. So he creates a suit with spikes on the inside of it, so that every time he punches someone or every time he kicks someone, it causes him immense physical pain and his powers trigger. And he's amazing. Like, he's an amazing character. And like, they'll never use him. But like, it's stuff like that. But it's stuff like that where it's like they haven't even tapped into half the Marvel characters. Geez, we haven't even gotten to the X-Men yet. It's like this place is ripe for it. So, You want to do after credits then?
Yeah, let's talk about it.
So I would say that the after credit scenes in this one are quite unremarkable. We do get a cool introduction of somebody though. So it turns out Zeus is still alive, so Russell Crowe can still imbue his acting talent on the rest of the world. But who does he send after Thor? Who does he send, Zane?
In all his disgust of superheroes and such, he feels it's time that Hercules carries out his will on the world.
Yes. Hercules is now an MCU character officially. I am excited for this. Hercules is one of those characters where he does eventually become
An Avenger.
He does become an Avenger. I just looked at on Google because I was trying to find out what the actor's name who's playing Hercules, because I can't remember what his name, and it just says who's the guy at the end of Love and Thunder. That's literally what one of the things came up with in the thing. So yeah, let's have a look. Brett Goldstein is Hercules, the demigod. Yes, so Hercules becomes an Avenger eventually in the books. Whether it's a secret Avenger or not, I'm not sure, but it's an Avenger regardless. Probably one of the things that I know best about Hercules is that the Sentry rips him in half in the books. That's what happens to him in the end. He dies a very horrible death at the hands of the Sentry. But he's quite a cool character. I mean, he kind of anti-hero, pretty interesting. I wonder how much they'll exclusively use him. I would doubt very much. I think he'll probably be a part character that turns up every now and again, maybe in the Guardians, or maybe in the Avengers. I can't see him being a main lead. So yeah, that was one of the post-credit sequences. And then in the other one, Jane, because she was the mighty Thor and she did die in battle, she becomes a ghost. No, she ends up in Valhalla. She ends up
she ascends to Valhalla, yeah.
Yes, where she's welcomed by Heimdall, the returning Idris Elba, back into the role. Why I think this is significant is because, well, first of all, we kind of see Valhalla and it looks exactly like Asgard. Like Asgard, as we know it previously, like the old Asgard. But also, it's quite a random cameo to get back for a post-credit scene, unless you plan to do more with him.
See, I've heard mixed things. So, my two ideas is either, and the most popular one I've seen so far is that this was a nice send-off for the two actors who had been part of the Thor, movies since Dot, but had sort of terrible exits from the franchise. Yeah. So this was supposed to be their, moment to be like, and goodbye. But the other thing I kind of thought of was, can you imagine if Loki eventually ends up at like Valhalla, like with all the TVA nonsense and stuff?
That's exactly what I was thinking. Yeah, that's what I was thinking. I don't think I was under the impression now, and I'm starting to be under the impression that Valhalla is another dimension or another reality, and like somehow the souls of individuals end up there, before they get returned to whatever might be the case, or it's like it's almost like a. Do you remember that? Do you remember the Loki TV series? He Who Remains creates that like end of the world area where all the junk gets dumped, and it's like this place outside of space and time where the whatever the creature was called, the big demony monster,
green mist.
Yes, you know what I mean. Glorious purpose. That thing. I wonder if it's like a pocket dimension kind of thing like that, where like souls are being hoovered up to kind of thing since the incursion or since whatever it is that is happening. It's a wild out there theory. It could just like you said, I think it's much more likely it's just a nice send off to say bye bye. Idris and Natalie. Thank you for your service. But I don't know. You never say never with Marvel, can you? You know, nobody's ever truly dead, are they?
Yeah, and I guess the one sort of fan theory about Loki that I've seen pop up every now and again when they talk about the TVA and, you know, dimension hopping and such, is that the Loki Prime, who gets killed by Thanos, technically he would have ascended to Valhalla because he died in battle, like Heimdall.
Yes. Yeah.
So with the 2012 Loki that we've been following with the TVA, would he eventually meet Loki Prime?
Right, it's timey-wimey, isn't it? Yeah.
Timey-wimey.
That's the whole thing, isn't it? It's like, is that Loki Prime still, does that Loki Prime still exist, or did the Loki Prime become Loki TV series Loki Prime because of the events of Endgame? How does that work? And yeah, it's all wibbly wobbly. They need David Tennant to fix it. So there you go. He's the only one who can. Anyway, that's pretty much it, I think, guys. What were your thoughts on Thor: Love and Thunder? Was it your favorite Thor of all time? Did it finally surpass the greatness that was Thor: The Dark World, or you know, is it at the doldrums of Thor Ragnarok? Who's to say? You know, but let us know. Write in. Zane, where can they get hold of us?
You can get hold of us on email. You could email us nerds undisputed@gmail.com. Of course, you can find us on Twitter and Instagram at undisputed_nerds. And lastly, you can find our Facebook page. And while you're at it, why not check out undisputednerds.com, where you'll find all our previous episodes.
Yes, indeed. You can find me on Twitch, twitch.tv/Gentleman the Gamer every Tuesday and Thursday. I am back, baby. I am doing it. I'm hitting it hard. You can also get me on the gram at Gentleman the Gamer. Next week, we're going to be starting Doom Eternal, doing the DLC for Doom Eternal.
Nice.
That's going to be tasty. And then I'm going to be doing Guardians of the Galaxy after that, Zane.
Oh, nice.
I am super looking forward to that. I've been playing Avengers still. I'm still playing the Avengers, by the way.
It's good. Mighty Force.
They haven't announced it. She's out. She's happening. I've been using them. Yeah. Who would have thought they've released a character that's exactly like Thor?
Wow.
Because I don't know about you, but when I think of the Avengers, that's, you know, I want a carbon copy of a character that they've already got in the Avengers.
So what I'm hearing is a reskin has been applied.
Yeah, it is a little bit reskinny, I have to be honest with you. Yeah, it's a cool reskin, but it's a little bit reskinny. So that's unfortunate. I'm trying to get all the achievements in it. I'm very close. I'm 5 away. So yeah,
look at you.
I know. Dragging it out like nobody's business. Right. What are we doing next week? Is it Miss Marvel next week?
It will be, yeah.
We should probably try and do a boys, like you and I should probably do a pickup episode and do the boys, shouldn't we?
We should. Yeah, it is a good series.
Yeah, let's do a pickup episode and do the boys. Maybe we'll do Umbrella Academy whilst we're at it. Do a double
feature.
After I burned through all of Umbrella Academy and then you left me high and dry. Whatever it is, guys, we'll be sure to catch you next week. So stay tuned and watch this space. Thanks very much.
Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. And we'll see you next week. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.